So in order to stay healthy, we all have to understand the topics and terms used by our doctor, but most people don't understand a lot of that language.
In tonight's Real Men Wear Gowns, Eyewitness News reporter Jeremy Baker explains the serious problems that a lack of understanding can cause and how one family is improving their health literacy.
Here at the Texas Diabetes Institute, nutritionists, doctors, physical therapists, and patients are just a few of the people who work together to improve health literacy.
Sometimes if they come with a family member, it will be easier for them to gather all the information, and maybe somebody else will have a different question that it will be interesting to address.
Dr. Andres Pardo, a primary care physician and geriatrician with the Texas Diabetes Institute within University Health System, routinely sees Ricardo Rivera, who is always accompanied by his daughter, Becky Bullard.
I had a stroke in June, so I come over here often, to do my usual exam.
He also had a liver transplant in 2014, so Rivera has a lot of doctor appointments.
She's the one that keeps up with all the appointments.
They both agree Dr. Pardo communicates the necessary information to keep Rivera as healthy as possible.
He's pretty good about telling me what I need to take and how much I have to take.
The Center for Healthcare Strategies says adults with low health literacy experience 6% more hospital visits, 2-day longer hospital stays, and 4 times higher health care costs. Bullard says if your doctor is not like Dr. Pardo and instead not making things clear and complete, you need to switch physicians.
If you're not happy with the doctor you're seeing and you have family and friends, I would ask them, because maybe they've been to other doctors that do understand, plus they can recommend you to the right direction.
Jeremy Baker, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.
So you've got to understand your own health, guys. Pay attention. We always say this. For more men's health information, call that number, 358-3045, if you have some questions. And you can also find the rest of our Real Men Wear Gown stories at wearthegown.com.